Hey guys, welcome again to the Maths Club. If you are just joining us, so welcome. In the previous video to this, we looked at angles and parallel lines, and as always, whenever we finish a key topic, we look at WAEC past questions from 2014 to 2023, and we're following that pattern in this particular video. So if you are not subscribed to our channel, please do. We notice that a large number of our viewers have not subscribed. Help our ministry by subscribing. Let's get started. Question 1 says that find the value of m in the diagram taken from June 2023. So this is the diagram. I want you to pause the video and try this out yourself. So to solve this, how can we do it? Whenever we have 3 points like this, remember that time where I drew a line. So I'm just going to draw another parallel line. Right. So whenever I have something like this, I always like to add another line. You can make it dash, or you can make it a very thin line. Maybe a dash line might be better. What do we know? We know that this guy here is 90 degrees because of it's a right angle. And this line is this new line that we did, right? So let me just, it's also parallel to, so it's parallel to this line and it's parallel to this line here. So this plays like a transversal between these two lines, and this one is a transversal between two lines. Like we discussed in the previous video, transversal is a line that cuts across two horizontal lines, right? So remember, we said alternate angles are equal. So if you see that there is a Z here, can you see the Z? Great. So if there's a Z there, that means this place is 40 degrees. This side there will also be what? Great, 40 degrees. 40 degrees, right? And in this place here, the angle here is 90 degrees. So if this guy here is 90 degrees, that means this guy here will be what? 90 minus 40 degrees, right? 90 degrees minus 40 degrees will give you 50 degrees. Why? Because the total angle here is 90 degrees. The reason why this guy was 40 degrees was alternate angles are equal. Now that we know that, from one of the rules that we said opposite interior angles sum up to 180 degrees, right? So we can say since opposite interior angles sum up to 180 degrees, I could say this my m and this guy here is equal to 180 degrees, right? Because this is like between the two parallel lines, right? The opposite interior angles do always sum up to 180 degrees. We caused this in this previous video to this. So we could say therefore m plus 50 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, and our m will be equal to 180 degrees minus 50 degrees, and I'll give you 130 degrees. Let's see if our answer is correct. That will be option B. Great. Question 2 now says that in the diagram, let's see the diagram, ABC, these ABC and BCD, this angle here, are right angles. I'm also told that BAD, right, this angle here is T, so this angle here is T. And we're also told that angle EDF, so this EDF is 70 degrees. But also find the value of this angle T, which is angle BAD. I want you to pause the video and try this out yourself. In solving this, the first thing that we need to know is that if this guy is 90 degrees, this guy is 90 degrees, of course we're doing that these two lines are parallel to each other, because this at 90, this at 90. It's just like a rectangle. Rectangle, the height is always, the height here will be the height here. Remember, we said for parallel lines, right, they would never meet no matter how much you draw them, and then they're equal distance apart, because this is like a rectangle. You can see 90 degrees here. They will always be at equal distance, and they will never meet regardless of how long you draw them. Correct. So one thing that we know is that whenever we see an x, what do we say about x? We said vertically opposite angles are equal, right? So if this angle is A, this angle here will also be A. Can you see an x in this picture? Yes, look at the x here. Right. So if that is the x, if this guy is 70 degrees, this guy here would also be 70 degrees. Why? Because vertically opposite angles are equal. So if this is angle T and this is angle 70 degrees, what can you say about two of them? Great, right? Opposite interior angles sum up to 180 degrees. So we could say, therefore, since opposite interior angles sum up to 180 degrees, I'm writing this in short form because I don't want to write it. I don't have to write it again. I could say T plus 70 degrees would be equal to 180 degrees. So our T would be equal to 180 degrees minus 70 degrees, and that will give you 110 degrees. Remember, I said something that if it's a theory question, you need to write the reason why you are saying this guy is 70, which is what I put here, and the reason why I'm saying this guy is equal to 180. You have to write the reason. Don't assume that your lecturer or your teacher would know that, oh, vertical opposite angles are equal. No, you have to state it. That shows that you understand what you're doing. Let's see if our answer is correct. That will be option D. Great. Question 3 states that find the value of x plus y in the diagram. This is from June 2021. So this is the diagram. I want you to pause the video and try this out yourself. If I were to solve this, I want to find the value of y and x. So let me start from what I know. I know this guy is 35 degrees, and this guy is 110 degrees. These are parallel lines, right? These are parallel lines. Remember what we said? This guy here, let me just, if I take away this guy mentally, I'm taking it away mentally. So I'm only leaving these two parallel lines, parallel line 1, parallel line 2, and this line 3. I'm taking out this other line mentally. What do I see here? If you see this guy here, look at this line here. The transversal is making an angle 35 degrees with the horizontal line or the parallel line here. Of course, this place here will also be what? 35 degrees. Can you tell me why based on the previous video? Great. So we said corresponding angles are equal. So if this guy here is 35 degrees and is the same transversal line that's cutting across these two parallel lines, this guy too will be 35 degrees as long as these two lines are parallel. So from here, we could say x plus 35 degrees is equal to 180. Why? Because angles on a straight line sum up to 180 degrees. So that means our x would be equal to 180 minus 35, and that will give me 145 degrees. That's our value for x. Remember, this is how you find x plus y. Now, let's take out this line 3 and imagine only line 1, 2, and 4. This transversal makes an angle 110 degrees with this horizontal line, parallel horizontal line, right? And this is another parallel line. Two of them are parallel to each other. So the angle it makes here will also be the same angle it makes here, because of this same reason, corresponding angles. So this same reason. So for this same reason, so angle on a straight line, so I could say y plus 110 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, right? Our y will be equal to 180 minus 110, and that will give me 70 degrees. So we can now find our x plus y, which will be 145 plus 70, and that should give you 215 degrees. Let's see if we are correct. That will be option A. Great. Question 4 says that in the diagram, PQ, line PQ, when you see this is in line PQ, is parallel to line SR. This line SR. Find the value of x. Take it from June 2020. Please pause the video and try this out yourself. Remember, when we have 3 points like this, I always just draw a third line. Like I said, you can make it dash, or you can make it something light, just to differentiate. And this third line is parallel to this line, and it's parallel to this line. So I'll just do my two guys here, just to show that they're all parallel. What to notice here is a Z, right? And what do we say about this Z? Look at the Z here. Great. What do you notice about the Z? When you have a Z, the angle here is equal to the angle here. So this angle here is 68 degrees. So the Z, the top left is equal to the bottom right. Why do we say that? Alternate angles are equal. Is that the reason why we say that? Great. Also too, for this place here, look at this Z. See this Z. Although it's facing the other side, but it's also a Z. Can you see that Z? So if that is the case, if this guy is x degrees, this guy also will be x degrees. So the top right is equal to the bottom left, because these two lines are parallel, and you can see the transversal and this transversal. So I mean, because of this same reason, alternate angles are equal. So the angle at the point will sum up to 360 degrees. So given that, I would say x plus 68 plus 246 is equal to 360 degrees. Why? Angle at the point equals 360 degrees. So now I could say 246 plus 68, that will give me 314. So x plus 314 is equal to 360. Then my x is equal to 360 minus 314. My x value is 46 degrees. So this 314. So the question is to find the value of x. basically our x is 46 degrees. Let's see if we're correct. That will be option B. Great. Question 5 says that in the diagram, MN is parallel to PQ and value at MNP, that is the angle at MNP, is equal to 2x, and value at NPQ is equal to 3x minus 50 degrees. Find the value of NPQ. So we should find the value of 3x minus 50. I want you to pause the video and try this out yourself. So the first thing you notice is this is a parallel line, this is a parallel line, this is a transversal line. Can you see the Z? Yes, see the Z here. So something like this. This is the Z. Right, forgive my drawing. When you see a Z, the top right must be equal to the bottom left, right? So you could say 2x is equal to 3x minus 50. Why? Because alternate angles are equal. Always state a reason why. If it's a theory question. So let's correlate terms. So I say 2x minus 3x is equal to minus 50. Minus x is equal to minus 50 divided by sides by minus. My x is equal to 50 degrees. But is that what the question said we should find? No. The question said we should find the value of NPQ. So we could say therefore 3x minus 50 will be equal to 3 open brackets 50 minus 50, and that will give you 150 minus 50, which will give you 100 degrees. So the value of NPQ is actually 100 degrees. Let's see if we're correct. That would be option D. Great. Question 6 now says that in the diagram, PQ is a straight line. So let's see PQ. Great. So if M is equal to half of x plus y plus z, find the value of M from June 2020. I want you to pause the video and try this out yourself. So what do we know? First thing we know is angle on a straight line is equal to 180 degrees, right? So I could say x plus y plus M plus z is equal to 180 degrees. So we're trying to find the value of M, right? So I'm trying to find the value of M in this place. It might not be wise for me to make M subject formula, so I'll make X or something else subject to formula. So if I say making X subject to formula, once again I'm making something else apart from M subject to formula, because if I make M subject to formula, it will move M from this entire equation, which is not what we want to do. Right, so X will now be equal to 180 minus y minus M minus z. So I'll just substitute X in M, right, in the M formula. So M is equal to half, open bracket, our X is 180 minus y minus M minus z in bracket plus y plus z, right? So our M will be equal to half of 180, if I open up the brackets, so it's just the same thing, thankfully, minus y minus M minus z plus y plus z, right? So minus y will cancel plus y, minus z will cancel plus z, so I'll be left with M is equal to half of 180 minus M. So if I cross multiply, I would have 2M is equal to 180 minus M, and if I take like terms, that would be 2M plus M is equal to 180, and that'll give me 3M is equal to 180. If I divide both sides by 3, my M is equal to 60 degrees. So the question is how to find the value of M, and that's what we have done. Always start from what you know, right, and move up. So x plus y plus M plus z is equal to 180 because it's an angle on a straight line, right, which sums up to 180 degrees. Let's see if we're correct. That will be option B. Great. Question 7 says that in the diagram, PQ is parallel to RS. So this PQ is parallel to RS, and QFG is 105 degrees. FEG, this guy here, is 50 degrees. Find the value of M. This is the M here. I want you to pause the video and try this out. This is from June 2019. So when you see questions like this, always start from what you know. First thing that I know, I'm trying to find the value of M, right? And I'm seeing a parallel line and a parallel line, and I'm seeing something like a Z, right? This is like a Z. So if this guy is 105 degrees, I don't want to use any other thing apart from D. I could have said, oh, this guy 180 minus this guy, then this guy plus this guy plus this guy will give me 180. sum of angles in the triangle. I don't want us to use anything extra or external. I want us to base it on the laws of parallel lines. So we have a z here, this first z. If this guy is 105 degrees, right, if the top right is 105 degrees, ignore this guy, then the bottom left would be 105 degrees. So this entire place is 105 degrees. We know that. Also look at this z too. So the second z. Right, this is the second z. If this guy is 50 degrees, if the top right is 50 degrees, then the bottom left would be what? This guy here would be 50 degrees. Right, you know, we've talked about this extensively. These just basically alternate angles are equal, right? We've talked about that. So if out of this 105 degrees, this small portion is 50 degrees, then we can find what m is, because m plus 50 degrees is equal to 105 degrees, right? So if I make m out of formula, that will be 105 degrees minus 50 degrees, and that'll give me what? 55 degrees, right? If the sum of all this place here is 105 and one part of it is 50, I can find the other part. Let's see if our answer is correct. That will be option D. Great. Question 8 now says that in the diagram feeding off the previous question, find the value of n. Same question, but we're trying to find n now. So we knew that this place here was 105 degrees from the previous question and from the z, right? If this guy is 105, this guy is n, we know that angle on a straight line will equal 180 degrees. So 105 plus n is equal to 180 degrees, right? Because it's an angle on a straight line. Always write it fully with the theory question. So our n is equal to 180 minus 105, and I'll give you 75 degrees. That will give you the value of n. Let's see if our answer is correct. That will be option C. Great. Question 9 says that in the diagram, PQ is a straight line. So this PQ, if m plus n is equal to 110, n plus r is equal to 130, m plus r is equal to 120 degrees, find the ratio of m, n, and r. This is from June 20. It's not to pause the video and try this out. So whenever you are given a question like this, always work from the basic thing that you know. What is the most basic line? You know that m plus n plus r is equal to 180 degrees because of what? Straight line, right? Angle in a straight line. So if I told that m plus n is equal to 110, so if m plus n is equal to 110 degrees, I can substitute and say wherever I say m plus n, I should put 110 degrees. Therefore, 110 plus r is equal to 180 degrees. So our r will be equal to 180 minus 110, and that'll give me 70 degrees, right? Also, if n plus r is equal to 130 degrees, I know our r already to be 70, so that will be n plus 70 will be equal to 130 degrees. My n will be 130 minus 70, and that will give me 60 degrees. Also, if m plus r, so let's say m plus r is equal to 120 degrees, that will be m plus 70 is equal to 120 degrees. My m will be equal to 120 minus 70, and that will give me 50 degrees. My m to be 50 degrees. So the question also does find m, n, and r in terms of ratio. So m ratio n ratio r. M is 50, ratio n is 60, and r is 70. Of course, I can simplify this and say this 5 ratio 6 ratio 7, because 10 is common in 3 of them. I could just divide out 2 by 10. Talked about this one with the ratios and proportion. Let's see if our answer is correct. So out of these options, our answer is option D. Great. Question 10 says that in the diagram, PQ is parallel to RS. So this PQ parallel to RS. We should find X in terms of Y. So this is X in terms of Y and Z. Pause the video and try this question from June 2018. So whenever I see something like this, what do I know? I always try to start from what I know. This angle Z here is the same thing as angle Z here, right? You can see the Z, so this is like the Z. So bottom right, top left. So this angle here, let me say this is from alternate angles are equal, right? So this guy here would be what? 180 minus z, right? Because this guy plus this guy is meant to give me 180 because it's an angle on a straight line, right? It's meant to sum up to 180. This guy here is going to be 180 minus y because of its what? Angle on a straight line. And this guy here is going to be what? 180 minus x because it's a what? Angle on a straight line, right? This guy plus this guy must give me 180. So I have the inside here, the inside here, the inside here. I know I said I'm not going to use any x or nothing, but we've talked about this before. Let me just backtrack. Sum of angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. So therefore, 180 minus y, take it from this guy, from this inside here, plus 180 minus z, plus 180 minus x. Everything must give me 180. So 180 plus 180 plus 180, that will give me 540. Thankfully, if I now open up this bracket, this is plus plus, I mean it's going to be the same sign, so no need to stop my head. So this minus y minus z minus x is equal to 180. I'm trying to find x times of y, so that's making x of the formula. So minus x is equal to 180 minus 540 plus y plus z, right? So that is minus x is equal to minus 360 plus y plus z, and if I divide both sides by minus, therefore my x will be equal to, this sign will change to plus, that will be 360. This sign will change to minus, that will be minus y. This sign will change to minus, that will be minus z. So our x in terms of y and z is 360 minus y minus z. Let's see if we're correct. That will be option D. Great. Question 11 says that in the diagram xy is a straight line. Angle POX, this guy, is equal to angle POQ. So you can see two lines. And angle ROY, so this ROY, this point O really, is equal to QOR. So this guy here. Find the value of POQ, so one of this guy, and ROY, one of the other guy. Take from June 2017. Please pause this video and try it out yourself. So if I call this guy x, I can also call this guy x because since they're the same. If I call this guy y, I can also call this guy y. Right, so what do we know? We know that x plus y must equal 180 degrees. Why? Angle on a straight line sums up to 180 degrees. So we have 2x plus 2y is equal to 180, and I can factor out 2 from this to give me x plus y is equal to 180, and divide both sides by 2. X plus y is equal to 90 degrees. So let's see what questions we should find. POQ. POQ is x. ROY is y. So x plus y is what they say you should actually find, and that is 90 degrees. So found our answer. Let's see if we're correct. That will be option B. Great. So question 12 says that in the diagram NQ is parallel to TS. Let's see. So NQ parallel to TS. They like this kind of questions a lot. So RTS, this angle at C, is 50 degrees. Angle PRT, angle at R, so PRT is 100 degrees. Find the value of NPR. So this guy here. Take it from June 2017. I want you to pause the video and try this out yourself. So what do we know about this? Can you see the Z? So this is Z, right? See 50 degrees. So this 50 degrees is at the, let's say, top right. This will be the bottom left. So this is 50 degrees, right? Why? Because of alternate angles are equal. This guy here, what can we say about it? This guy will be 180 minus 100 degrees, and that'll give me 80 degrees. Why? Because angle on a straight line, so angle on a straight line is equal to 180 degrees. So this is 80 degrees. If we know this angle and we know this angle, remember what we said about exterior angle. So the exterior angle is equal to the sum of the two opposite interior angles. So you look at this triangle. So this triangle here, this is the exterior angle. Can you see the exterior angle here? And that's what we're told to find. So we could say from exterior angle theorem. Angle PQR plus angle PRQ is equal to angle NPR, right? So angle PQR is 50, so that's 50 degrees. Angle PRQ is 80 degrees that we found. So this would give me angle NPR. So therefore my angle NPR is equal to 130 degrees. So that is the value of angle NPR. Let's see if we're correct. That will be option B. Great. Question 13 says that in the diagram PF, so where's PF? This PF, QT, and RG, they intersect at S against the S. Great. So if SPQ, this guy here, is 113 degrees, RST is 22 degrees, we should find the value of PSQ. So this guy here, we should find the value. Great. So what can we see from this question? I can see a parallel line here, and I can see a parallel line here. Because there's a parallel line and there's a transversal, because this transversal, so I can see my Z, and here it comes, I know that it's shy Z. Alright, so the top right will be equal to the bottom left. So that means this guy here is going to be 113 degrees standard. So if I'm trying to find P, I think that's what I should find, PSQ. If I'm trying to find PSQ, which is this guy, if I call it X, I know that from straight line 22 degrees plus 113 degrees plus X would give me 180 degrees. So this will give me 135 plus X is equal to 180 degrees, and my X will be equal to 180 minus 135 degrees, and that will give me 45 degrees. So our angle PSQ, which are symbolized as X, would be 45 degrees. Let's see if we're correct. That would be option B. Great. Question 14 says that in the diagram PR is parallel to SV and is parallel to WY, which you can see 2, 2, 2. Great. PQT is 40 degrees. TXW is 60 degrees. We should find TQU. So this inside angle here, this guy here, that will be to find from June 26. Now to pause the video and try this out yourself. So what can we see? Let's remove all the noise and focus on these two guys first. So in these two guys, we can see this transversal line. So I can see my Z. Right, so I know that for sure this guy here is 48 degrees, right? Because alternate angles are equal, right? So this guy is 48 degrees. What else can I see? I'm trying to find this guy here. I know for sure that if this guy here, look at this line, it's also parallel to this line. So they're both parallels and they're coming from this same horizontal. This one is also parallel to this one, this is also parallel to this one. So if this line, this transversal, makes 60 degrees with this line, right? The parallel equivalent of it, which is this guy, would also make 60 degrees with this guy. Look at it, just makes sense. This parallel to this, this parallel to this, this parallel to this. So whatever impact it has on this guy, it also have the same impact on this guy. Simple and short. So from that, we know that angle in a triangle is 180 degrees, right? So our angle QCU plus our angle CUQ plus our angle CQU would equals 180 degrees. Why? Because of sum of angle in a triangle. So our QCU is 48 degrees plus our CUQ is 60 degrees plus our angle CQU is equal to 180 degrees. So this would be 108 degrees plus angle CQU is equal to 180. So if I call it like terms, our angle CQU will be equal to 180 minus 108. So therefore our angle CQU will be equal to 72 degrees. right? Once you're able to make deductions from all those things, look at parallel line, parallel line, parallel line. Whatever is happening to one set of parallel lines, this one and this one also happens to the same year and year. Just make those deductions and you find the answer. Let's see if we're correct. That will be option C. Great. Question 50 says that in the diagram, which of the following is true? Take from June 2016. Let's see. If this guy is P, this guy will also be P, right? Because of what? Vertically opposite angles are equal. Remember what we said that. So if this guy is got to be, if I want to find something like this other guy, I could say this guy is 180 minus n. Why? Because angle on a straight line sums up to 180 degrees. So this n plus whatever this guy must have been 180, and if I make this guy up the formula, it will be 180 minus n. Right? So from that, I mean, I could just deduct and say n plus p plus 180 minus n would give me 180, right? Because sum of angle in a triangle is 180 degrees, right? So I could just say sum of angles in a triangle, right, is equal to 180 degrees. So if I correct like terms, that would be n plus p minus n is equal to 180 minus 180. So m plus p minus n is equal to 0. So let's see, we know that cannot be A, cannot be B. Let's see C. C is m is equal to p plus n. If I make m sub the formula here, that will give me n minus p. So this is wrong, of course. Let's see if the last one is now correct. So yeah, we are saying minus n is equal to minus m minus p. If I divide both sides by minus, my n is equal to m plus p. So we can see we have proven that D is the correct answer. Let's see if we're correct. Great. Question 16 now says that in the diagram, PQ, where's PQ? PQ is parallel to RT. RT, you can see 2, 2. Great. QR is parallel to SU. You can see 1, 1. I'm saying when I say 1, I'm saying 1 arrow, 2 arrows, 2 arrows. Angle PQR is 48 degrees. Angle RCS is X. Find the value of X. Take from June 2015. I want to pause the video and try this out yourself. So one thing I see, this guy here is parallel to this guy, which is 2 arrows, 2 arrows, and this guy is parallel to this guy. So whatever happens here would also happen here because of what? Corresponding angles. So this guy is 48 degrees. This guy is also 48 degrees, right? We've talked about corresponding angles in the previous video to this. Once again, if you have not liked the video, please do. If you have any question, drop it in the comment section, and if you have not subscribed, please do subscribe to our channel, youtube.com/@themathsclub. Thank you. Now we know, okay, let me just put it here and say corresponding angles. Next, we know that if I had these two guys, it will give me 180. Why? Because angles in a straight line. So I know that x plus 48 is equal to 180 degrees, right? X plus 48 degrees is equal to 180 degrees because angles on a straight line. So if I make x of the formula, that would be 180 minus 48, and that will give me 132 degrees. So our value of x is 130 degrees. Let's see if we're correct. That will be option B. Great. The last question in this series is saying in the diagram, PQR is a straight line. M plus n is equal to 120 degrees. N plus r is equal to 100 degrees. Find m plus r. We saw something like this before. Please pause the video and try it out yourself before you look at the solution. So, like I said, first thing that we know is m plus n plus r is equal to 180 degrees because it's an angle on a straight line. So if I told m plus n is equal to 120, so if I'm told m plus n is equal to 120, then 120 plus r is equal to 180 degrees. I just substituted it. So therefore, 120 plus r is equal to 180 degrees. So our r will be equal to, let me just take a say, 180 degrees minus 120 degrees, and that will be equal to 60 degrees. Now that we know our r, we were told that n plus r is equal to 100. So we could substitute and say n plus 60 is equal to 100. So our n is equal to 100 minus 60. So that will give me what? 40 degrees. That's my n. So I know my r, I know my n. Let me just say, so if m plus n plus r is equal to 180 degrees, and our n is 40 degrees. So if I remove this 40 degrees, of course I'm going to have n plus r left. So I could just say n plus 40 plus r is equal to 180. So n plus r will equal to 180 minus 40. So our n plus r is equal to 140 degrees. I mean, you could solve it in a different way, but once I was able to find r, it made me find n, right? And if I'm finding n plus r, I can just say if n is 40 degrees, I mean, I'll be left with n plus r now if I take out the n from it. So that's what I just did. And I said, okay, since n is 40, I'll be left with n plus r, and that will give me 140 if I call it like terms. Let's see if we're correct. That should be option C. Great. And with this, we've come to the end of the WAEC questions on angles and parallel lines. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.